There are certain things you can achieve that make you stand out because most people don't achieve them. And that's the key. And they're not that difficult to do. It is midnight in Tokyo, here in Shibuya. It is loud. It is midnight on a Wednesday, and there's a gazillion people here at midnight on Wednesday. This place is nuts. Anyhow, I'm gonna have to shout in order for you to actually hear me. So, check this out though. This place is nuts. Look at this thing. There's just people everywhere. Anyhow, so today's topic is going to be, how do you stand out from the crowd? Since I'm surrounded by a gazillion people in this crowd Wednesday evening at midnight. I didn't expect that, even if it is Tokyo. Shibuya crossing, and behind me, it's the place where all the movies shot. Anyway, so check this out. How do you stand out from the crowd? How do you make yourself stick out? Yeah, I got that. How do you stick out from the crowd? Let's say you are and your team are on a resume, on a board, on an executive summary, something. What makes you guys stick out? Why would anyone want to invest in you, hire you, or otherwise? What can you do to quickly fix that if you don't stick out already? Now, there is some quick tips, I guess you'd call them, or maybe you could call them hacks, to quickly escalate your resume to the next level. How do you actually get yourself looking important? That guy's drunk as a skunk, man. He almost walked into me. Anyway, you see a lot of that here in Tokyo too. So anyhow, how do you actually get yourself to stick out? The very obvious thing is achieve stuff. No kidding, that's not so easy, right? But there are certain things you can achieve that make you stand out because most people don't achieve them. And that's the key. And they're not that difficult to do. Number one, writing. Anything you write that gets published makes you stand out as an authority figure on the topic you're writing about. When I was just starting my career in tech, I started submitting article ideas to magazines. One of them actually said yes. And I wrote the article for them, and that started a chain of events where I wrote for a whole bunch of articles for a whole bunch of different journals. And that was the beginning of my career. That is the easiest thing you could possibly do as long as you have a knack for writing and you're not totally illiterate. I don't know. It's not that hard to get yourself an article printed. You'd be surprised how many publishers are seeking your article. Now, you could be writing for magazines, you could be writing for any form of journal, be it like a published journal like colleges, universities put out. You could be writing for a newspaper, for all sorts of things, a book. Writing a book, though, I got friends who've done that, I haven't. Wow, that is an intimidating amount of work. I would not suggest that unless you're ready to dedicate like a year and a half for that. Oh my God, there's a fire truck right over there. That is loud. Shibuya, Tokyo is loud, let me tell you. Anyway, what else can you do besides writing? Writing is really easy, honestly, if you do an article, not a book. It doesn't take that long to do an article. I think my first article that I ever wrote took me a long time. It took me several weeks of every day a little bit. But at this point, I could probably knock one out in a few hours. Probably 5 hours, 4 hours. I could do like, I don't know, 6-page article, 7-page article, including proofreading and everything. So, you know, it is what it is. You get better at it. I mean, people who do it for a living and they're like an editor, they could probably do it in an hour. So, you know, you get used to those things. But in any case, writing is a great way. Next thing you could do to jumpstart your career, jumpstart your own resume, or get yourself noticed. You know, you got a team on your executive summary for your business and you want people to actually pay attention to who they are. They should stand out. Other things you could do, speak in public. Oh, gee whiz, that person passed out. Anyway, wow, this place is nuts. Anyhow, speak in public. If you go to conferences and you watch other people speak and you've never done it before, it probably looks intimidating. I have spoken in many conferences and I can say it's a thrill. You just have to be confident with what you are presenting about. Do not present, if you've never done it before, on anything you're not fully confident about the topic, meaning talk about something that's your expertise. You can pitch yourself. Hold on, don't want to get run over. You can pitch yourself as a speaker of a conference fairly easily, and sooner or later someone's going to grab you up if you actually are an authority about what it is you're pitching. Now, how do you actually get yourself to speak at a conference? The typical way is something called a call for papers, CFP. And conferences will typically put these out several months in advance of the conference registration opening, and anyone can submit their own ideas for a session at the conference. If they like the session, they will invite you to come speak. The better conferences will even pay you to come speak, but the lesser ones will have you do it for free. Regardless, no one knows whether you got paid or not, so it doesn't really matter unless you're really hard up for cash. The better conferences fly you too. If they're out of your local region, they'll fly you in. I mean, you know, free trip and free publicity about your own achievements and what you're good at. So if you're speaking about some topic and you are invited to speak at a conference, not only do you get a free trip and you sometimes get paid, I mean, it goes on your resume as you were standing there in front of an audience. By the way, on that note, most conferences do not film or photograph, which I think is a shame, but that's reality. In that case, if you have a tiny audience of 3 people, which I've seen, and it's very sad, unfortunately, when that happens. I almost said pathetic, but I bit my tongue. It's sad, though, when that happens. No one actually knows that. That's the funny thing. If they don't photograph or video record the conference, no one knows how many people showed up. It just goes on your resume as having spoken at that conference. All right. Now, so there's all sorts of conferences that you could speak at. Now, let's say that's aiming a little too high for your current level. There's other things you can aim lower at. Meetups, local meetups. There's endless of them. I mean, just hundreds and hundreds in most regions per year. And that's not at one time, but whatever. You have hundreds of opportunities annually to speak at local meetups. Meetups are just run by some dude who runs the meetup. If it's a big community, then maybe there's a barrier of entry to speak there. Hold on. Walking the wrong way. Maybe there's a barrier of entry to speak there, but if it's not a humongous meetup, most of the time they're open to just people coming and saying, I want to speak, here's what I know about, would you like me there? And many of them will actually say, yeah. You'd be surprised how easy that is. So you could speak at meetups, you could speak at conferences. When you get better, you could start speaking at universities, which is a lot more reputable when you're reading someone's resume that they spoke at a university. I mean, that's a big deal. However, that's a harder thing to achieve because someone has to invite you at the university. But it's actually not that hard to make those connections. All you have to do is find someone at the university who appreciates your talents and invites you to come speak to the student body. It's not as intimidating or challenging as it sounds, but it's definitely harder than trying to arrange to speak at a conference or a meetup. So these are some really quick, easy ideas how to jumpstart your career. Writing and speaking. And mind you, public speaking is something that is considered the #1 worst fear in terms of statistically. Like, most people have that fear, apparently. I thank God don't, so I don't honestly relate. But I gotta say, the easy way to overcome this fear is just keep one thing in your mind. And I know I've heard all the tricks about thinking about everybody in their underwear and stuff. I don't know how that even works, but whatever. That would just creep me out. But the one thing to keep in your mind, what is the worst thing that could happen? That is what you have to think about. So when you get up on that stage, you might be absolutely downright terrible. What's the worst thing that you think is going to happen? Do you really think you're going to get booed off stage? Unless you say something that is inciting, you probably won't get booed off stage. You might have people walk out, but no one is going to make you feel absolutely terrible. Now, I would suggest that everybody, if you're going to go down this route, then you should also start learning how to speak in public from the endless amount of YouTube videos out there. Don't just get up there and start talking and think you're going to actually sound good. There's so many easy ways to make your public speaking presentation much better by simply learning how to do it. It's not that hard, but it is hard if you don't bother to put in the effort to learn how. So that's key also. So you want to learn how to do public speaking well if you're going to go down this route. and you want to overcome your fear, just think, what is the worst that's going to happen? Have you ever seen anyone booed off stage unless they said something provocative? No, that doesn't happen. In fact, when you go to a conference and you listen to them speak, usually in your head, you want to hear a good presentation. You want that person to succeed up there. And you know what? Everybody in the audience is rooting for you and your success. And that's key to remember when you're speaking in public. Holy cow, they are power washing that thing over there. That's too noisy. I'm going to go down this way. Everybody who is there at your presentation in the audience is there to hear your insight, not insightful like I said before. Hear your insight and learn from you. And they want you to succeed. Everybody's rooting for you when you are up there. So don't start thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? I've seen speakers freeze up there, by the way. At conferences, they just get up there and they freak out and they just lock up. I saw one guy freeze so badly he couldn't come back, and he literally, just after a few minutes, they gave up on him and called him off the stage. It was terrible. It's heartbreaking. I don't want to see that. I'm sitting there in the audience going, oh God, this is tough to watch. You don't want to be that person. You want to go no matter what happens, you just keep moving. Keep going. You say the wrong thing, keep going. Probably no one even noticed. Okay? If you're up there in front of people and you are speaking, they want to know what you got to say. Therefore, just talk to them like you're having a conversation. Except instead of having one person, there's lots of people. That's it. It's nothing more than that. Now, the other basic points people do when they speak in public that I would say are easy to fix. Number one is project your voice. You got to speak loud. When you watch a public speaker and they are quiet, they look weak. Okay, having a powerful voice is key. I've heard so many people who have a pathetic, quiet voice in public, but then when they get mad, they start shouting at you. What the heck is that about? Hold on, don't want to get hit by a car. What is all that about? If you can shout like that when you're mad, shout like that when you're up there. When you're speaking in front of an audience, you got to keep that in mind. Speak loud. Speak in a commanding voice. Don't be afraid that you're going to, I don't know what, speak too loud and bother people. They're all there to hear what you have to say. If they can't hear you, you've not succeeded in your public speaking. So that's probably the easiest thing to do. Is that a motorcycle? Wow, that is loud too. Everything is loud here in Shibuya. Shibuya, Tokyo. Amazing place to be. Everything is super loud, and you got to be loud when you speak in public. But when you do, and you speak in conferences and meetups and any other form of venue, you are going to push your career forward. And if you've got a team of people, I would encourage everybody on that team to be doing the same. In other words, you're starting a business, you got a company, you got a bunch of people on your team, your founding team, and you want to pitch that, and you want people to give you money and invest in you, then make sure your team looks good. And everyone on that team should be presenting at conferences and writing articles, and it takes only probably about 60 to 90 days to get that launched off the ground. I'm serious about that. If you put the effort in today, I can not guarantee, but I can say it's highly likely 60 to 90 days from now, you would have spoken at a conference or a meetup and have written your article already. It's that easy. So everyone, got to stick out from the crowd. Oh God, that's the crowd there. I got to go to the crowd over there. Hold on, am I not really supposed to do this? Oh, jump in the thing. Oh my God, the New Yorker in me cannot go away. I'm in Tokyo and you're not supposed to do those things, but gee whiz, man. New York, no one would bat an eye to that. All right, guys. That's about all the energy that I can project from this voice, because it is loud here in Shibuya. So, oh my God, they're screaming behind me. Anyway, stay tuned for the next episode. Keep watching. Thank you for watching. Hello. You got it. You're on it. Red Bull.
Yeah.
Video, yeah. You're on YouTube. Bye. Japan is crazy. I love it here.
Yeah!